This is Lisa from MobileTechReview, and now for a laptop from MSI that is not a gaming laptop. This is the MSI Prestige 16 Studio. As you might guess from the name, this is a laptop for creators. Thin, light, premium, but the price isn't too bad, $2,000 and under. We're going to look at it now. So we reviewed the Prestige line from MSI previously as well, and every year it does get better, which of course you would hope it does, but it's nice to see the changes. The design is better looking than it ever has been, and now we have a 16:10 aspect ratio display with optional mini LED, which is the one that we have. So I mean, this is 2023 and everybody loves mini LED as an alternative to OLED displays, minus the burn-in problems and all that sort of thing. It's not just about that though. Of course, we have Intel 13th generation 45-watt CPUs, Core i7 in fact. Interestingly though, you don't see this much with the 45-watt mobile workstation / gaming laptop class of Intel CPUs. It's Evo certified, which means that it's power efficient and also it's relatively light. So it's sort of like the Big Daddy above Ultrabooks in terms of power consumption, thinness, and all that sort of thing. So we've got NVIDIA graphics as well, RTX 4050 or our 4060 GPU inside. That's a 55-watt GPU. Again, this is meant for creators, not so much for gamers. You could do some gaming on the side, but MSI makes a whole lot of gaming laptops for that purpose, if that was really your main shtick, right? It is reasonably light, under 5 pounds, 4.63 pounds, which is 2.1 kilograms, so the idea is portability. It has a metal chassis, it's pretty rigid, even the keyboard deck, no complaints about the build quality. The silver finish is pretty generic looking, but the taper is nice. The keyboard deck is fairly rigid on this, well, decent enough, if perhaps not as exciting looking as, say, a Razer Blade Studio or a Dell XPS, but then again, this is a lot more affordable too. We have something that you don't see that often on a 16-inch laptop, which is a number pad. So for those of you who are number crunchers, you'll be happy to see that. Keyboard is backlit in white. The travel is okay on it. It feels a little mushy. For creator laptops, keyboard feel is more important because you're supposed to be, well, creating with it, right? So I'd like it to feel a little more springy maybe. It's not terrible. It's just not captivating me. The large trackpad is very nice to use. No complaints about that. Good stuff there. Other standard things would be, well, yes, you have a webcam and you have a fingerprint scanner. For a business laptop, you should have a fingerprint scanner. You also have a webcam privacy shutter, which is something we don't take for granted, but on a business-oriented laptop, that's where they're going with this. You should have one. Ports are pretty good on this. We have HDMI 2.1. We have USB-C, but they don't say Thunderbolt 3 support here, which is a little bit weird for an Intel platform there. So what's up with that? And we have USB-A and of course, well, a headphone jack. And since we are targeting creators with this, there is a micro SD card slot. Performance here is fine. It performs as well as we would expect given the specs inside, and thermals are also good too. This is not a crazy high-spec Core i9 with an RTX 4080 or something like that inside, right? So it doesn't need massive cooling, but MSI did a fine job with that, and I think their prowess with gaming laptops certainly helps them when it comes to that. So if you're looking for something to do some Adobe Premiere editing, a bit of Blender work, that sort of thing, that's exactly what this is meant for. And again, obviously you can do some gaming on it as well, but it's not its first purpose in life to do that sort of thing, and you might want an even higher-end GPU depending on what kind of games that you play. The display on this, we have the mini LED one, 165 hertz. Whether you go with the straight IPS or with the mini LED, you're looking at 165 hertz and QHD plus resolution, which is 2560 by 1600, which is 16:10 aspect ratio. So that's the good stuff there. The good thing about the mini LED display is it behaves pretty well. Obviously, we've had 6 months of maturity to get into this, but at first Windows was a little wonky sometimes with mini LED and color gamut and brightness and HDR and all that sort of thing. And I found this very stable compared to some of the early releases in the year. The bad news is it's a glossy display. It is not touchscreen. It's a glossy display, but oh my God, it is mirror-like glossy, which is, again, especially for a creator laptop, you really don't want to deal with a lot of glare. That part's too bad. The weird thing is here, now the color gamut on this is quite wide and good in SDR mode or standard mode. If you put it in Windows HDR mode, typically you don't see the color gamut go down. If anything, you might even see it get amped up a little bit. But if you put it in HDR mode, and this does support HDR 1000, so that's nice, you'll see significantly improved brightness, like over 800 nits of brightness versus just under 500 in standard mode, but the color gamut actually goes down, which is kind of weird. So, and for most of you who are content creators, probably only use the HDR settings when you're consuming content and not when you're creating it, because you want to look at something that kind of resembles what most of your users are going to be using when they consume your content. So there's that. Anyway, a little bit weird. So we have a fairly compact 150 watt charger with this, an 82 watt hour battery, reasonable size, and that Intel Evo certification, which makes you think you're going to have super long battery life, and MSI was claiming that. But in the real world here with NVIDIA Optimus enables switchable graphics, so it's only using integrated graphics if you're not pushing it hard and all that sort of thing. Battery life was just average. I was getting about 6.5 hours of battery runtime with the display set to 150 nits, so not that remarkable. Not horrible, but not remarkable either. All right, the undersides, ventilation obviously, your speaker grills are here. Phillips head screws, not a whole lot to take this off. There's some plastic clips. They are not very difficult to deal with. And one under MSI's usual do not tamper sticker right there that you have to, well, peel away the sticker so you can take that screw off. Metal bottom cover, underside of cover, and here are the internals. 2 fans here. We don't need massive cooling, to be honest. Given the configuration of this machine, this is certainly adequate to the task. We didn't have any problems with the thermals on this. 82 watt hour battery right there, your M.2 SSD PCIe 4, socketed Wi-Fi card, Intel AX211, so that's Wi-Fi 6E with Bluetooth on board. And the RAM is soldered on with this, which for a kind of creator's laptop is a little bit of a surprise and a shame. I'd like to actually see RAM slots on this. So that's the MSI Prestige 16 Studio. So it's their mobile workstation creator sort of laptop for 2023. And again, like I said, I've seen improvement here. We have a decent selection of ports. The seeming lack of Thunderbolt hurts a little bit, but the 16:10 aspect ratio QHD plus display is nice, especially with the mini LED option. And the performance on this is exactly a good balance for something that's still quite portable and thin and light. I'd like to see improved display profiles working a little bit better with Windows so we don't actually lose color gamut when putting in HDR mode. And I'd like to see RAM slots in the next version of this. I'm Lisa from MobileTechReview. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.